is a prayer like a wide river. It never ends, does not begin. Around the world, it's always flowing, and I am stepping in. We are stepping in. We are praying with those in distant places, different languages and faces, every hour of the day. And we are praying with enemies and strangers, in gratitude, in danger, calling God's 10,000 names. There is a prayer like a wide river. It never ends, does not begin. Around the world, it's always flowing, and I am stepping in. We are stepping in. We are praying with those who've gone before us, that great ancestral chorus. We are joining as we sing. We are praying with heroines and heroes, Moses, Mary, and Romero, yes, and Martin Luther King. There is a prayer like a wide river. It never ends, does not begin. Around the world, it's always flowing. I am stepping in. We are 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 stepping in.
Good morning. Making sure I turned myself on. Sound quiet. It's good to see you all this morning. Good to be with you. I have to give a disclaimer. I have been asked to say nobody spoil what's going on in the Chiefs game. Okay? If you already have, seal your lips now. I had some requests, I think particularly from band members who have been here since like 8, and they know nothing.
You know nothing.
And you don't want to incur the wrath of Trevor, so don't tell him or Greg anything for that matter. I can't speak for the rest, but so what a strange thing to have the time change and wake up this morning, and also to think that at 8:30 this morning the Chiefs were playing in Germany. You know. But you are here to worship, and I'm so glad that you came to worship with us this morning. If you would take a moment and grab those friendship booklets in the center aisle and let us know that you're here. Pass them down the row and let others sign in, and then pass it back. Let them know that you're here so that they can learn your names. They may not know your names yet. We had our church retreat yesterday, the third part of the direction setting retreat, and what I loved was, as we were coming in, I saw 2 of our longtime members walk up to one of our young people and say, "I know we've seen each other, but we haven't officially met yet." And they exchanged names and talked and got to know each other. So, you know, we may be sitting in pews together, but we don't always know one another yet. So let's build those relationships. If you are visiting with us today, we're so glad you came to visit with us, to worship with us this Sunday. In the pew, right in front of you, there are some cards, some information about our church. And one of those cards is a visitor card. If you'd like to share some information with us about you, we'd love for you to fill out that card. and drop it in the offering plate later on in worship. That lets us know a little bit about you. And you can also sign up if you would like to get our weekly email that goes out on Wednesday and tells you what's going on at Crossroads Church. Today, we are observing All Saints Sunday. And somebody asked me recently, why do we do that? You know, we're not Catholic, we're not Episcopalian, we're not from a background that does that. And the truth is, this congregation is from a lot of different backgrounds. We are a very ecumenical congregation, and if I started listing off the denominations, we probably would hit just about every Christian denomination in here. And we do love in worship to be able to touchstone different parts of the denominations out there and learn from them and pull from them and honor them in various ways of honor your own faith experience, right? And so for us, on All Saints Sunday, we're not simply remembering those that have been named saints by the Catholic Church. We are remembering the saints in our lives. We are remembering the people that have passed on, that made an impact on us. And it may be a family member, it may be a good friend, it may be a teacher, it may be someone that you've never met in person, but their wisdom and their light has affected you. And so this morning we remember those individuals. And for some of us, they are people that passed away in this last year, and the grief is strong. One who grew up in this church, a young woman, passed away not that long ago, and I imagine today many of you are remembering Marina. But for some of us, we're remembering someone that maybe even passed away 15, 25, 40 years ago, and we still think of them as a saint for ourselves. Their light still affects us. And so we remember all of those individuals today who have brought light and life and love to our world. And we will have a way to commemorate each person in worship in a little bit. So I invite you into this time of reflecting on those individuals, to listen to the music and the readings, to join in the worship as you feel led, being mindful of the way that we are surrounded by a cloud of witnesses. And those loved ones that have passed on are still with us in many ways. Before we do that, we're going to invite you to stand up and greet, right?
And greet one another.
Yes. Invite you to stand up as you are able and to greet one another, say good morning. When you hear the chime, come back to your seat.
Yeah.
Back. Get back. Back, you devils. Yeah.
I know.
Don't make me come down there.
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Trevor's a curmudgeon. He's ornery, and we love him because of it.
Greg was supposed to be up here. Some people confuse us. He's a little taller than me. He wears better hats.
He wears better hats.
Hey, they both wear hats and vests.
Yeah. So, that camaraderie, that looseness you felt during greeting time, that openness, that little bit of joking that just happened, gather it all into your heart and take it into worship. Just keep turning it loose and letting it happen. This first song is one that you all know, many of you, from early childhood on, but it's not quite the same as you're used to singing it. So if you feel a little awkward at a couple places, it's okay. We're just going to learn just a little different way of singing it.
As we sing this morning, I should say, now you can hear me, and it's not the sound booth's fault. I have to announce what they're going to do. Yeah, I do. Aren't you done with your...
Talk among yourselves for a minute.
My bad.
So what happens sometimes is we have a worship order and then we make an adjustment, and sometimes we get an old one printed. So Holly and I just had a slightly different one. But to be fair, Holly wasn't supposed to lead worship today either. So the person that was leading worship couldn't be here. So we bumped her up from, but it is, yeah. Okay. Also, because this is the morning that has already started off kind of awkward, and thank you to a new friend who said it's the time change. That's what it is. It's the time change. The reason you couldn't hear me before was not the sound booth's fault. It's because I felt that I could just leave my microphone hanging on my shirt and that would work. But it has to actually get attached to my ear. So if we start doing even weirder things in this sermon, someone just like flag us down, and like, we need help today, clearly. Trevor always does, right? Yeah, squirrel moments. Okay, we're going to try this again. We're going to go into a time of reflection and remembering those that we love, that who impacted our lives, that have passed on. So as we sing this song, Turn Your Eyes Upon Jesus, we invite you to come forward as you are so moved and to light a candle in remembrance of someone. If you want to light more than one candle, that is fine too. You can come straight up on the stage and there are lighters to light. I also have some matches. If you are not comfortable coming up the stairs, there is another station right down here, and you can light candles, and one of us will add those candles up to the top so that you will see the full cloud of witnesses that we are remembering this morning.
All right, let's do it.
There's life for a look at the Savior, and life more abundant and free. Through death into life everlasting, He passed and we followed Him there. Oh, sin no more have dominion, for more than conquerors we are. Turn your eyes upon Jesus. Look full in His wonderful face, and the things on earth will grow strangely dim in the light of His glory and grace. His word shall not fail you, He promised. Believe Him and all will be well. And go to a world that is dying, and perfect salvation to tell. Turn your eyes upon Jesus. Look for in His wonderful face, and the things of earth will grow strangely dim in the light of His glory and grace. Oh, turn your eyes upon Jesus. 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 Oh, turn your eyes upon Jesus.
Please join me in our litany, We Remember Them. At the rising of the sun and at its going down,
we remember them. At the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, at the opening of the buds, and in the rebirth of spring.
At the blueness of the skies and in the warmth of summer, at the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn.
We remember them. At the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us. We remember them.
When we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart,
we remember them.
When we have joy, we crave to share. When we have decisions that are difficult to make. When we have achievements that are based on theirs.
We remember them. As long as we live, they too will live, for they are now a part of us. We remember them.
If God does not have me with you, if God does not have me with you, if God does not have me with you, then God be there with you. If you cannot find me near you, if you cannot find me near you, if you cannot find me near you, then God be near to I cannot have you near me, if I cannot have you near me, if I cannot have you near me, then God be near to you.
We have the folks that are going to receive the offering come forward now. Lord, remind us again. Remind us anew. Open our eyes. Open our hearts. We cannot thank you enough, Lord, for the gift of life, for the gift of community, for the gift of music and worship, all the many ways that you bind us together and love us just where we are. So we ask that you receive these gifts now, Lord, and use them to further your blessed community. Amen.
God of the movements and martyrs, God of the powerless child, God of the hurter and hopeless and unreconciled, God of the just and the faithful, God of the night and the day, God of the whole of creation, your name we pray. Many have followed the Savior into the face of the storm, strengthened by long generations, by love they adore. In basements and halls and churches, shadows of fences and walls, in alleys and hallways of power, they answered your call. Now is our turn to do justice. Humbly we rise today. Give us the strength and the wisdom to walk in your way. Gather the hounds and the fishes, share until all have been fed. Walk in compassion and mercy, my love will be led. Gently in miracles surrounding, all holding hands while we pray. Power to heaven, the helpless will stand in their way. God of the joy and the wounded, let us be healed by the truth. When doorways are locked, we will lower our praise through the moon. God of the circle that holds us, God of the waters pushed away, we will reach out to our neighbors, in your name we'll say. No matter your creed or your country, no matter the hue of your skin, your age, who you love, or the body your soul was born in. No matter the places you're broken, no matter the things you have done, lay down that weight on the altar, a new day's begun. You are the child of the Maker, you are beloved and known. Join us in work of the kingdom, we welcome you home. Join us in work of the kingdom, we welcome you home.
May you be here and know here is home. May you be here if you are young or old or a bit of both. Whatever body shape you are, skin color you have, whatever culture has shaped you, language you speak, gender you identify, or tradition you come from.
May you be here and know here is home. May you be here if you have been here all of your days, or if this is your first time, if you are certain or unsure, or a bit of both. If you seek God or if you have found God, but mostly if you are just yourself, whoever that is or will be.
May you be here and know here is home. Let us worship the God who has created the diversity that is humanity and welcomed each equally to this moment, this table, this dwelling place, and how lovely it is.
On the night that Jesus was betrayed, he took bread. And he gave thanks. And he said, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." After supper, he took the cup and he said, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood. Do this as often as you drink this in remembrance of me." At Crossroads, we come to an open table. You don't have to be a member of our church. You don't have to be sure of your faith in God. You can be filled with questions or doubts. Wherever you are welcome at the table. Because we believe deeply that the table of Jesus is one that invites each and every person to come as their truest self, to bear all that they are, and to receive the bread and the cup. And today, as we do so, may we be remembering all those who we have loved, who have shared and share today, even still, this table with us. It is surrounded by a cloud of witnesses, witnesses to the love of God in our lives. Ushers will guide you from the pews, and you can go to a station at the front or the back where Crossroads folks will offer you the bread and the cup. The bread is gluten-free, and they will also offer you a blessing. And so I invite you to come today and to receive and to remember that you are loved fully and completely, and that you always have a space at the table of Christ. Come. With those who are serving, please come forward.
the table will be wide, and the welcome will be wide, and the arms will open wide to gather us in. And our hearts will open wide to receive, and we will come as children who trust there is a God, and we will come unhindered and free, and our aching will be met with wonderful bread, and our sorrow will be met with love. And the table will be wide, and the welcome will be wide, and the arms will open wide to gather us in. And our hearts will open wide to receive, and we will open our hands to the feast without shame, and we will turn toward each other without fear, and we will give up our appetite for despair, and we will taste and know of delight. And the table will be wide, and the welcome will be wide, and the arms will open wide to gather us in. And our hearts will open wide to receive, and we will become bread for a hungering world, and we will become drink for all those who thirst, and the blessed will become the blessing, and the blessed will become the blessing, and everywhere, yes, everywhere, oh, everywhere will be the feast, and the table will be wide, and the welcome will be wide, and the arms will open wide to gather us in. And our hearts will open wide to receive, and the table will be wide, and the welcome will be wide, and the arms will open wide to gather us in. And our hearts will open wide to receive. Yes, our hearts will open wide to receive. And our hearts will open wide to
From the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came down to him. And he began to speak and taught them, saying,
Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted.
Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled.
Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God.
Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called the children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.
Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you.
So I warned people at the retreat yesterday that were there that it would be interesting to see what my sermon was like today, because I hadn't written it at that point. I had made all these notes, but I hadn't written it because we had a busy week. We had the More Squared fundraiser that a lot of you went to, which was wonderful, and we had a retreat with over 40 people yesterday talking about the vision of our church. A lot of good things this week, but a busy week. And some of you like to laugh that every once in a while when I'm sitting for hours at length at baseball games for my son, my sermons are handwritten, and I think Terry Rayburn was the one that said you need to get some old baseball scoring paper and do that. And I was at the ball field for 4 hours yesterday, and I had to laugh that when I was putting my sermon together, it looked almost like a football play with lots of arrows and things like that. I thought, this seems appropriate while I'm watching them play ball. I don't know that I've ever talked about the Beatitudes on All Saints, but it's a common text for All Saints Day or All Saints Sunday. And in some ways, it probably doesn't seem like the right choice when we're talking about those who have passed on, because we traditionally look at the Beatitudes as kind of an improved ethic. A teaching on how we are supposed to live. We're supposed to be poor in spirit, maybe, and mourning. And I never really liked the one that said meek. I didn't, or at least I didn't like how the church used that sometimes to teach people how to behave. But we see it often as that, as this way to live, as an ethic for how we live. And I was reading earlier this week, and David Lose was writing about this passage in regards to All Saints, and he said, so perhaps Jesus is playing for larger stakes than an improved ethic. Perhaps he's challenging who we imagine being blessed in the first place. When we look at the world, we define blessing in a different way. People that are blessed are folks that have great wealth, that don't have to live paycheck to paycheck, that have a beautiful home, that have children that succeed in life, who somehow stay free of illness and disease and accidents and all of those things, who have been successful in their careers, who may be powerful. Those are the ways that our culture, our world has often defined blessed. And even in the church, we have sometimes taught that if you don't have those things, then maybe God isn't blessing you. Not this church, but some of us have heard that preached. If you have more faith, if you live in these certain ways, then you are blessed and have a successful and good life here and now. But Jesus, in so much throughout his life, was teaching about the inversion of the kingdom. And we even like to say here at Crossroads, the kingdom. We like to take that G out and talk about the connection we have, about kin being one together, and take out the hierarchy of a king. Jesus talked a lot about that, flipping things upside down. He would not be hanging out at the tables of those that in our world today are considered the most blessed, right? He would be hanging out with those who are humble, meek, poor, mourning, who are struggling in life, who are oppressed, who are vulnerable. Maybe the blessing is not success as we think it. Because we can even read that passage, blessed are those who are mourning. What feels like a blessing about that, right? Blessed are those who are persecuted. What feels like a blessing about that? But what if the blessing is not as we define blessing in our world, but being blessed is the experience of being nearer to God, of being nearer to God's heart? Because when we look at Jesus' story, like I said, Jesus is in all of those places of vulnerability, those places of sorrow and where people have been dismissed and rejected and unloved, who have been outcast. He's with the people that have shown compassion and love. And the Beatitudes text reminds us of this. It reminds us that in our vulnerability, in our humanity, God claims us. God claims us and draws near to us, and we are blessed. I like to think of being blessed as that, a nearness to God. Not that if I do all the right things and live this righteous life, suddenly I'm going to have a bigger paycheck or a nicer car or never get sick or never lose a loved one. But that by living a life of faith, my blessing is that I am drawing closer to my Creator. And that's how I like to remember my loved ones that have passed on as well. Now, if we started talking about heaven, we would probably get a huge variety of what people think heaven is like. Maybe even if there is a heaven. I had a conversation this week with my twins, my 6-year-old twins in the back. They were asking where it was. I think one of them thought it was underground. One thought it was maybe just beyond the planets. They've been learning about planets in school the last few weeks. But there were all these questions. And both of their grandfathers passed away before they were born. And so they like to think about Grandpa Dad and Grandpa Larry as being in heaven. And as they told me this week, and with our dogs, Wrigley and Dudley. And of course, children ask those questions that as adults, sometimes we don't want to ask anymore because we don't know what we believe about it. I know personally I don't believe like I used to sing in hymns about a mansion and pearly gates and streets filled with gold, right? Maybe for me, that doesn't work anymore. But what does work for me personally is that I think beyond this life, there is a nearness to God. And I'm kind of okay with not knowing what that looks like because I trust God. But I think of my loved ones as having drawn nearer to God. So Thursday night, we were at the More Squared fundraiser, several of us, talking about racial and economic equity. And the speaker for the night was Dr. Gregory Ellison II. He's a professor of pastoral care at Emory in the Candler School of Theology. And he was phenomenal, wasn't he? Those of you that went, he was just so good. And he was like walking through the crowd and engaging us in a way I've never seen a guest speaker do, really educating us. And a lot of what he talked about was the story of Howard Thurman and how Howard Thurman, well, without Howard Thurman, we wouldn't have had Martin Luther King Jr. because of how he shaped him. And even going back, we wouldn't have Howard Thurman without the people that influenced his life. It's a remarkable story. But he was talking about these folks that have come before us. And he said, this was something his grandfather used to say to him. He said, "We sit under shade trees we didn't plant. We sit under shade trees we didn't plant." He was calling people to remember those before him who had planted those trees, who planted those seeds and watered them and nurtured them and grew them up to be this beautiful tree that now we enjoy the shade of. And when you stop and think, there are those folks in your lives that planted that seed, that cared for it, that watered the fledgling plant in this life and grew it up over you. And some of those you know by name. Some of those you knew face to face. Some of those you don't know. Not personally. You know their name, like my children know their grandfather's names, but they never knew them. But you stand on their shoulders, right? You take shade under the trees that they planted. And their lives have shaped us. My dad was one of the most instrumental people in helping me see that I could be something bigger than the role of a lot of women in the circles we were in. And if he hadn't been a part of that, I don't know that I would have been here today, and that my children would see that. They're influenced by his light without even knowing it. And you have people like that as well who have brought light to your life. Whether you knew them directly or they are generations back. Someone in your family line, someone in the community that influenced your family member. People that have helped bring you where you are today. The other thing Dr. Elson said was that even after they are gone, they still protect the core of who we are. And he spoke a little more specifically, I won't get into this, but he talked about the gift that we all have that's at the center of us. But he talked about how those ancestors protect that in us. They protect us. And so he asked us, we shared around the table, he said, who from your ancestral past holds you up? So today I want to ask you to think about who are you remembering whose light, whose life, whose work still holds you up, still shapes you, still covers you in shade. Who are those people that you want to remember today and tomorrow that hold you up? The song that we just sang, "And the Table Will Be Wide," I was like on staff a month when we first sang that. It was a poem. Actually, I think we just read it at first, but it was a poem written by Jan Richardson, and then one of our folks, Joni, put music to it, and we've sung it for 8 years now. It's kind of become one of our favorite songs. But I love the line where it says, "The blessed will become the blessing." Those folks that we have known who have drawn nearer to God, who have been blessed by being drawn nearer to God, they have become a blessing in our lives. They have been a blessing in our lives, and they still are today. All those saints, blessed today by their nearness to God, continue to bless us. May we remember them this morning, this week, as we go forward. And may we call their names to mind and to our hearts. Call them aloud. When we need to remember that we are not alone, but we are standing below their shade tree, and they are holding us up. Amen.
If you're able, Please stand for this last song.
I'm going to invite you to be seated for just a moment. I'm going to remind you of a couple things that are coming up this week. You can always go and look at the newsletter that you got in an email that's also posted on Facebook on our church page to look at more details. Tomorrow night, the C2 meeting takes place at 6:30 on Zoom. At C2, we love to see a representative from our standing committees and our work groups so we can share what's going on and learn from each other and coordinate together. It's also a great place if you have a new idea to bring to the group and get some support and feedback, or if you have a need in the congregation, things like that. We want to hear those, so join us. The Zoom link is in the newsletter. Next Saturday, on the 11th, there is a young adult cookout. Cole and Seth are hosting. Cole's downstairs. Seth, will you wave your hand? They live in Lee Summit. Several of our young adults have been to their home already. It is a cookout and a fire pit night, and they're providing burgers and hot dogs and such, and need sides and other things. So talk to Cole downstairs or Seth. Just bring food, or you can talk to them if you want to coordinate food better.
Is there an age limit?
It's young adults. They let me come.
How young?
And I'm 40. That's Julius. Julius is Alex's +1, so just be a +1 for a young adult and you're in.
Real fine.
You could just have a rival one at your house that night.
For the old adults?
For the over 40s. Yeah, they really will take anybody. They love everyone.
Anybody, right?
Everybody and anybody. Everybody. Anybody. Even Trevor. Bring your guitar and play tunes around the campfire. It's definitely your kind of thing, Trevor. Okay, the next morning, the 12th, we have a community meeting after church downstairs to present the budget for 2024, as well as the work group charters for this year. So bring a sack lunch. If you were going to stay for that meeting, we hope you'll come. It's your chance to see the budget, ask questions, and see to the new ministries that the church is going to do. On that note, members, regular attenders, if you give to Crossroads or are considering giving to Crossroads, hopefully you got one of these on your way in. If not, Loretta has more on the way out. Stewardship starts next week. We have a 2-week mini-series on it, and this will give you some basic information. It also includes some great quotes from our members and pictures of their smiling faces about why they give to Crossroads. So come for that. And Nancy Wright is not here today, but she texted me early this morning to say, please remind people that Saturday, November 18th is fall cleanup day. And that's when we go outside and rake the leaves and all that. So if you are free that day, put that on your calendar. And her retirement party. She wants to clean the yard, rake leaves, do all of that, and then she wants you to stay here and celebrate her retirement. So at least there's a party afterwards, right? Makes it more fun to come, right? Downstairs, Cole is making popcorn today, so come downstairs and grab popcorn and visit. It's always a great time to talk for a bit and get to know one another better. If you're new here, you literally just go out that door and down the stairs, and you end up in the fellowship hall. So come grab some popcorn and visit. For our benediction this morning, I'm going to invite you to close your eyes. And I'm going to invite you to, if you're comfortable, to place your hands out in front of you with your palms up. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are you, because you have known and know the love of God. Blessed are you, because God draws you nearer. Amen.